Hi there, this is Cece with Going Solo. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and I am so glad to be with you tonight. Those of you that don't know me, I am a divorce coach, so to speak. I take you through that transition of really through a relationship loss, through living your best life. And most of people call me the doyenne of relationship building because my focus is just that. It's about rebuilding your life, rebuilding your happiness, rebuilding what you want and desire in your life. So with that, we are going to just speed right on into our show tonight because we've got a lot to cover. Because what we're going to cover tonight is happiness. Can you believe it? So often as we're traveling down that road of relationship loss, it is so hard for us to see the other side. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is when, even if we're like going through some hard times through jobs, or we're going through some difficulties with family, just a lot of stuff, life gets in the way. And sometimes our happiness is just kind of down to it seems like it's the last thing on our list. And so we want to try to bring that forward. And so tonight we're going to do just that. We have a terrific guest with us, Tessa Stowe. She is from Australia, all the way from Australia. She is the founder of Yes, saying yes to happiness. And I agree with that, saying yes to happiness. And she helps people fast track their way to happiness, especially after, really going through some of those tough times in your life. So that's why we're bringing her on board tonight. And I am just very, very excited to have her with us. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Cece. Thanks for having me on it. And the fact that you're over there in Florida and I'm over here in Australia, and it's just technology. It's amazing that we can connect and have this conversation as well. So
I know.
And I love what you're doing with helping people rebuild. I sort of look at it as being like when you've had sort of crap go on in your life, like relationship loss, or for me, losing my husband of 27 years. It's a complete rebuild, because it's like a destruction and then a rebuild. And I sort of call it like, you then eventually at a point become like the phoenix rising. The time does come and up you go, rising from the ashes, the mess.
that and that's true about a lot of things, especially relationship loss. That's certainly true. But even if we are having difficulty in our jobs, or we're having difficulties in our family or very difficult to sometimes see the other side of that. So
very difficult.
Into this saying yes to happiness? What brought you into that?
Yeah, because in a nutshell, I definitely wasn't saying yes to happiness. So I was the complete opposite, actually. And the significant event that happened for me was my husband of 27 years died. He died of brain cancer, and we were extremely happy, and I was just devastated. And I was basically at that time, actually, if you'd asked me, do you want to be happy, I would have gone absolutely no way. No, I'm committed, in fact, to being unhappy, because I actually believe that it was disloyal to be happy. So I went through that phase of definitely not saying yes to happiness. But I was really, really unhappy. I was essentially, I suppose, I went through a phase of living in bed, because it was just, why get up? And I think what got me into this whole path, actually, of happiness and doing what I'm currently doing is, I say to people, I was tricked. It was a trick. And it was a trick by my grief counselor, because she knew I was living in bed. And she said to me one day, Tessa, will you do one little thing for me? And I said, well, as long as it's like little. And so she said, well, the thing I want you to do is, when you wake up, if you can just get up, put some clothes on, and then walk across the road. And I thought, well, that's and I said, that's easy. But I said, what do I do next? And she said, well, you can just go back to bed, or you can keep walking, just have to do that one little thing. So So it just seemed so easy to do. And I liked Anne, my grief counsellor. So I thought, well, I'll do it. So I would get up in the morning, put some clothes on, walk across the road. And some mornings, Cece, I would just turn around, go back to bed. But the next morning, get up, put clothes on, walk across the road. And it might be, it was a beautiful day, and I'd actually keep walking. And I thought, I'm actually going for a walk. And I was actually starting to feel good. And I thought, gee, there's something in this. And I was having kind of moments of happiness. And I thought, maybe there's other things I can do. And I really liked the way that she got me walking by not asking me to go for a 10-minute walk, which I would have done. But she simply asked me to walk across the road. So it just started me on a journey. I'm very curious. And I thought, well, what else can I do to make myself feel happy? And then I started researching scholars and scientists about what really makes you happy, because there's a lot of rubbish out there about happiness, actually. And about the same time, miraculously, I have no idea how it happened, but I connected with a behavior scientist in the States called BJ Fogg, and he's the world's leading behavior scientist. And he has a methodology called Tiny Habits, which is how to basically get yourself to turn something into a habit. So I thought, cool, if I've got all this information from these scientists about and scholars about what makes you really happy, and I combine it with BJ's methodology, I can come up with what I call tiny habits recipes. So I went about doing that, and it's just amazing. And so I kind of thought, well, it's really who this message is for is for people who are saying yes to happiness. Like I was at that stage of, yep, I'm ready to say yes to happiness. So it's really an identifier, the saying yes to happiness, because so it's for people who are at that stage, because Cece, as you know, when you go through, a significant event like grief, like a loss or divorce, separation, something like that, there is a period of time when, you wouldn't say yes to happiness, because you're actually in a period of time where you actually need to kind of survive that event. So right. It's not appropriate.
Happiness is over. I mean, you just think the end of the world has come.
Yes, and you've got to actually deal with that. So, but there does come a point in time, and it varies for different people, where they will say yes to happiness, and that's where those are the people that I want to attract. And I know everybody in theory wants wants to be happy or happier. However, it's the people who've gone through some sort of significant event. Well, as you know, Cece, it completely changes your perspective, doesn't it? Like you just see things differently, and you become more open to questions like, well, how can I be happy or happier? You're sort of going on a bit of a search, whereas until something like that some significant event has happened in your life, you sort of almost kind of going along thinking you've got it nailed.
Well, that's true. And so, especially when you're coming from a relationship loss, it seems like your whole world was into that other person. You feel like you can't necessarily evolve anymore. You can't do anything because the other half of you is missing.
Yes. Yes.
And it's
the you that was in that relationship doesn't exist.
Right. And so here you are like this new person. And once you go, I think, through the grieving process of that, and I think we all do, whether it be divorce, death, or just separation of some sort, we all go through that grieving process. So once we've kind of gotten through that and we start saying, you know what, I have a life to live and I have to make a choice of how I'm going to live that. And so either I can keep going down this negative way that's doing me no good, or I'm going to start learning about myself that's going to, bring me, I think, joy and happiness. And so
Yes.
as you start to explore who you are, not the person who you were with that individual, but who you're going to become, then you have a lot of choices, don't you?
You do, and it's very exciting, and it's very scary, and all those things, and yeah, and it's like, where do you go for this as well? It's like, for me, on the happiness side, when I decided, yes, I'm ready to be happy, well then, okay, how? It's like, how? Like, where do I go? Because there's so much fluffy duffy, stuff like, you should be doing this and you should be doing that, and but nobody actually tells you how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, fine, but how do I do that? So yes, you go and search, but there's the challenge. It's like, where, like, particularly with happiness, where do you go so that you can work out where can you go actually so you can learn the skill of happiness? Because there's a thought, something I discovered, which I didn't realize, is happiness is a skill. And it's a skill that you can learn, and it's a skill that you can get better and better at, and as a consequence, get happier and happier at. I don't know about you, CC, in America, but in where I grew up in Australia, oh no, not Australia, New Zealand. I'm originally from New Zealand. We never had happiness school, never taught at school, taught all sorts of subjects, a lot of which actually were completely useless. However, but there was no class on this is what on teaching you the skill of happiness, which I think is bizarre, because happiness is so important on so many levels for ourselves and all the people we care about, and yet we're not actually we're not taught the skill. I mean, we're not even taught that happiness is a skill. So so I'm kind of on a mission, really, to say, everybody, happiness is a skill, and you can learn it, and this is how you can learn it. And
it's a great thing. It truly is, because I know that when I was traveling that road and trying to figure out what am I going to do, and I was so down in the dumps all the time, and I was so negative, and then I realized, someone told me that you have a choice. You have a choice to be happy, or you have a choice to continue where you're at, and if that's where you want to be, you can be there.
Yes,
so
yes,
then when I
yes.
started to understand that I could actually choose how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to appear. And then another friend told me, well, you just got to fake it till you make it. So sometimes happiness is, you just have to, it's like when you hear somebody laughing, you may not be wanting to laugh, but then they laugh, and then you start smiling, and then you're uplifted. So sometimes you just have to kind of get into the mode of being happy, right?
Yes, sort of, because this is an interesting discussion, because you said, can choose to be happy or not. And yes, you can choose to be happy, and that's important. But the thing is, it's not just, okay, I choose to be happy. It's like, here we are. Here's an example, CC. I choose to lose 10 kilos. Great. Oh, in Australia, you say pounds, don't you? Okay, I choose to lose 10 pounds. So, okay, I've said that. So I've chosen to lose 10 pounds. Have you noticed, though, that have I lost 10 pounds while I said that?
I wish it was that easy.
Precisely.
I would be losing that 10 pounds.
Precisely. So the thing is, there's more to it than just making a choice. So some people say, oh, it's a choice, not a result. And it's just like, all I have to do is choose, and voila, it's all wonderful. Well, no, I haven't lost those 10 pounds, okay? The only way I'm going to lose my 10 pounds is I choose it, and now I'm actually going to do something about it. So you actually have to do something. That's it. It's not just, oh, my goodness, I just sit here. I choose, to lose 10 pounds. I choose to be happy. I choose to be in a magnificent relationship. Right. Very important step. Very important. But you still have to do something. And not only do you have to do something, you have to actually do the things that work. And it's the challenge is, well, what are those things that work, that really work? Because there's a lot of hype out there. There's a lot of misinformation. There's lots of, misinformation. So it's kind of, how do you sift through, well, what actually works? And then how do I actually get myself to do all those things anyway? So there's a whole lot of pieces to the puzzle, and yeah, but it's exciting once you made the decision and the choice and you're committed to it, and it's just amazing how the answers start to come, so yeah, and I'm excited about it. I just get such a thrill out of what I do because I'm passionate about helping other people be happy. And what's so cool, Cece, is as a result of that, of me helping others be happy, I become happy.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point. Exactly. I feel like sometimes if you like my friend said, you kind of fake it till you make it. When you're around other people that are happy, it kind of rubs off on you, and you can't help but feeling that way. And so then it starts to evolve, and you start feeling like, well, that felt good. I enjoy being with that person. And then it just keeps moving. You just keep moving forward with that. And I know that there's a lot of techniques that are important, for us to be able to continue in our lives.
Yes, and it's really important. And the other thing, just a little bit, because although I'm happy, I focus on happiness. I'm also practical, right? I'm not like everything is wonderful all the time, and because it's not. It's like, and the other thing is be around positive people, and people make you feel good. Conversely, if somebody just makes you feel bad, you feel bad energy, bad vibes, just they put you down or whatever, get away as fast as possible. I have a sign when you come into my apartment, which I'm about to move out of, but I'll take my sign with me. My sign, when you walk in, there's a big sign. It says, good vibes only. Because it's a fact. It's a physical. If you're around, and this is an interesting fact, if you're around people that are negative or sometimes I call them energy-sucking vampires, they suck the. Did you ever come across people like that, Cece? You just in their presence and you sort of think, ugh. You just feel rotten. Well, the fact of the matter is they're actually physically sucking the life out of you. It's actually, it will actually decrease your life expectancy and your health being around such people. It's a proven scientific fact. Whereas being around positive, uplifting people will increase your life expectancy, improve your health. So there's actual real physical ramifications about being around that you receive from being around people. That's why I can, the longest living women in the world and the longest living men, they've done studies, and it's because of the people that a lot of it's because of the people that they're surrounding themselves with.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's amazing.
What about, often I tell individuals that are coming through relationship loss is to really kind of focus about what brings you joy, and think about like when you were younger, what are the things that made you, maybe kind of excited you, made you happy, made you, like for instance, art and things like that. And so many people get more into tune with some of the things they kind of put on a shelf because they started their career, but those things that they kind of put on a shelf really gave them quite peacefulness and joy.
Yes, absolutely, and awe, and it's important to really. I mean, happiness has got so many different dimensions, and it's not the same for everybody. It's like there's certain things you can do that are the same for everybody, but what you're referring to is really, what are you passionate about, and just doing, first of all, working that out, and as you say, it's often suppressed. Mm-hmm. Particularly if it wasn't conforming with what you were supposed to do. So it's like reconnecting with that and getting yourself to do more of it, and just the joy that will come up, that will bubble up from that is just amazing. So yes, it's
and then
really
even being connected with people. So if you're, let's say for instance, I know I can just take me as an example, doing what I do and here on the show and various different singles events and different things I do. I love it. And I'm all around these people that uplift me, make me feel good. And just every time I go and do something, it's just like a joyous occasion for me. So it makes me very content, very happy. And it's certainly something I would never want to give up. And even if I had a partner in my life, I would still want to continue down this road that I'm on because I love it so much. So it's finding your passion and then surrounding yourself with people that also have that same kind of interests that you'll also feed off their positive vibes, right?
Oh, totally. And it's amazing how it works and how effective it can be. It's like I've got this group on Facebook. You've just joined. It's so great that you're in the group. And the group is Yes to Happiness, everybody. And every day most days, not every day, but most days we do a quick little activity that takes only, 30 seconds or less. And it's we've got people from all over the world. And it's just amazing because one lady just posted the other day, she'd lost her husband and her mother within 6 months. And then she joined the group and I thought, I wasn't sure if she was ready, as I said, you go through that phase where you're in basically survival mode and then you finally come out and go yes to happiness. She came in to the group really early on, but she started doing these little exercises and she posted in the group, you might have seen it, Cece, a couple of days ago, and just said that she's just doing so well and is just her life is taking off again. And it's just like, it's amazing because she's just doing these little things and in a group. So that's that group I've got there on Facebook. It's really about connecting people who are on that same path and we all support each other and it's just very uplifting. So you don't actually have to have, it's important to have people physically that you connect with. And can I just say, having relationships in your life is so important. I'm not talking necessarily about an intimate one, but having people in your life is so important. Having real people that you can actually look at and talk to, touch and everything, but also just having a great communities like my community on Facebook. It actually makes people happier in that group. I was having a dinner with someone last night who said that just being in that group every so often, it's just like illogical how little action we actually do and the impact. So you just make sure you hang out with the right people that are going in the same direction, really, and people who are going to uplift you and just tell you how fabulous you are and cheer you on and all that. It's just, that's that's going through the grief process has been one of the biggest lessons and the hardest lesson, because I'm sure this happened with you, Cece. I've lost friends during my grieving process because I just couldn't be around them. I've gained some amazing friends as well, but I became super sensitive to people's energy, and some people would just knock me over, and I'd end up in bed for a week just by having been in their presence. It just sounds ridiculous, but I was just so sensitive. So I'm very, sensitive and aware of people's energy, really. Mm-hmm. Do you find that?
I think that's an important key, is the energy of people. And so I think we do have to be very careful with that if we want to create a shift in our lives. And so to be able to surround ourselves by, I think, people that give us that type of energy that we need.
Yes.
So I mean, I think we have to be very, very aware of that. And I also feel the universe. I mean, I think the more positive energy we put out, the more we'll receive back. And so we have to keep that going. And I know you had talked about your crystals. I do my candles here and my jars and things. Yeah. So and so we have to do certain things that I think do make us feel good. And the big thing is, and what I was just thinking about when you were talking, is our belief system. Because I had a party and we made some jars, right? And I was talking to a lady the other day and I said, so how's your jar coming? How's your jar? And she goes, it didn't work for me. Just didn't work for me. I said, did you shake it every day? Did you put your candle? Did you pray? Did you do positive energy and everything?
Yeah.
No, didn't happen to me. She ended up just throwing it on the, and I said, what'd you do with it? And she goes, I threw it in the trash.
Oh, no.
I said, no. I said that's
Oh.
so here's the thing is she really truly did not have a belief in it. And she's not ready for that shift, I think, maybe in her life.
Yes,
and that's okay.
yes.
It's okay if you, because I think it's a slow process. Sometimes we have to go down and maybe we need to continue, with positive people to try to help move us forward. But what I realized is that she wasn't ready yet.
Yes,
for that.
timing. That's the timing is so important. That's why I have that saying yes to happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a Facebook ad, and I've created. If you go to my Facebook page, which is saying yes to happiness, you'll see it's a pinned post, and it's a phoenix, a picture of a phoenix, and I say the saying is, "I've survived, and now it's time to get my life on the road." So it's like, and then some people go, yes, that's me. But if you haven't kind of got to that point of, yes, I've survived, and now it's time to get, the show on the road, then it's not the time to get the show on the road.
Right.
It's like,
well, see, the thing is, like we talked about the grieving, we have the grieving process. And I think sometimes that's not only just a period of time in which for us to be able to heal, but it's also that honor and respect of what we lost. And so
gosh, yes,
we have to take that time to be able to experience that. And so when we start making that shift and the shift starts becoming more of a focus on us. And when it makes that shift from that partnership or that loss of that partnership or that loss that you're experiencing, and you start turning that focus totally on yourself, you create that shift. And then that's when you start saying, you know what, it's time for me now. And what brings me, what's going to move me. And I think that saying yes to happiness is what really takes place right then.
Yes, and it's kind of like a moment in time. It's and you can't hurry it. You can't hurry it. So it's so interesting. So it's just a journey that you go on, and unfortunately, nothing can prepare you for these journeys.
That's very, very true. And the thing is, it's like life is like a roller coaster ride, isn't it? It's kind of up and down. And so sometimes you just have to laugh at where you're going, and hang on,
Yes.
So,
you do. And even though I'm sort of, the happiness person, I get wiped out by things. And in fact, it's really interesting because I'm laughing, I shouldn't. My brother was in a really bad car accident. It was just July of the year before. And I was going along and I was doing really well. I was just getting myself back on track and everything. And then he was involved in this car accident. He wasn't killed, but when I found out, it just completely knocked me off my perch. And I ended up back in bed and I just couldn't get out of bed. And I'm lying there in bed thinking, I'm supposed to be the happiness person. And I can't get out of bed, and I know there's things I can do that I can do that make me happy in the moment because I know all these things, but I was so stressed and in such shock about my brother nearly dying. It was just the fact like I just couldn't handle it, and I thought there are all these things I know I'm supposed to be doing, but what? And I couldn't. My mind went completely blank because stress does that to you. I just couldn't think. So I got, eventually I got myself up, and when I sort of got myself together, I thought, gee, life is a roller coaster. I am going to have other things come at me, and I am going to think my mind is going to go blank. And so I thought, well, okay, how do I cater for this? And that's when I came up with the idea of a emergency emotional response kit. So have little cards by my bed with little things on it. So when I go, now what is it that I'm supposed to do? Pick up the card. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do one of those.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I used to, when I was having my pity parties every now and then,
don't you love those pity parties?
I know, really, and wake up with a big headache. And but I would post a lot of, what I found would help me is I put a lot of Post-it notes in a lot of different places all around.
Yes.
Positive, inspirational things that would be uplifting to me. I even took, like a eraser marker and I put it on my mirror. I would write things on my mirror. So, I would just have things everywhere. So I could constantly be looking at something positive to kind of shift my mind, because I just wanted to get out of that negative, the track I was going down. And so,
and it is a track. It's like a vortex. Once you go down that vortex, oh my goodness, it's like, how do you get back up again?
Right.
So that's why, this emergency emotional response kit is good. And the other thing is, if you've actually, it's like now I'm very much focused on happiness and what I call happiness, these happiness recipes. So the more that you introduce those into your life and the more you get skilled at happiness, then it doesn't mean it's the end game is not to go, I'm going to be happy all the time, because that's just not going to happen. There are things that are going to come along and knock you off. But what it is, though, and what I found is that the more skilled you are in happiness, the more resilient you are. So when you do get knocked off your perch and down you go, which you will, you at least come back up quicker.
Right.
That's the thing.
That's good. Yeah.
Yes, the resilience, the bounce back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but life is still going to happen. It is.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've come to realize is that, with sadness comes the opposite. And so I think that even though there's moments in our lives when we do become sad, things happen to us, difficulties set in, whatever it might be, there's always going to be the other side of that. And so if we can just hang on to that thought that there's going to be something on the other side. And,
eventually,
yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah, and get there. And then connect with wonderful group like yours. I think that's a pretty awesome. How can you not want to connect with that? So
it's such I'm blown away by the group, the generosity of the people from all over the world, and the people's perspectives. That's because I often ask, every so often I'll say to people, today the question is, what do you like most about this group? And people often say they like the fact just reading other people's responses to these activities, because it just opens people's minds up. And also the fact that it's just they pop into the group, just do something that makes them feel good, and then they're blown away by, and this is all part of this happiness recipe, which is a bit kind of counterintuitive. But because they've just had this little blip of happiness in the day, it rolls out. It causes momentum in other areas. So they just suddenly find themselves feeling better, and they think, but it was all related to just starting off this little action, and then it's momentum.
Right. So, well, and the other thing too is I think there's something said for helping others. And so when you go into a group like that, and if someone is having a kind of a tough time, it's always nice to be able to uplift someone else.
Yes, and tell them, and uplift them, and yes, and so it's not like this group is, by the way, it's not a rah, isn't everything life wonderful group. No, it's not like that at all. It's but it's like but it is about making progress and moving forward. And so not everybody in a group all the time is having a fabulous time, and they're going through their challenges, but it's kind of like, how do we kind of move forward? But then if somebody is stuck, is the support there as well. So it's not I just wanted to say that it's not, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. But all my expertise has come from studying, oh my goodness, lots from scientists and scholars, and working with behavior scientists. So I'm kind of like a filter or a sifter, but I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, any of those things. So just want to make that distinction. It's important.
No, I totally understand that for sure. But I think it's great. I think it's great what you're doing, and you've got a lot of exciting things happening too. You're moving now. You're moving to another country. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm moving. Well, you can't really see, but my apartment. Well, I won't blow the screen because it's looks like a bomb hit it. Really, stuff is everywhere. Because I'm moving to Bali, and it's interesting when you move. First of all, this is the apartment I was with my husband when he died. So, and it's 5 years, and 5 years, it's funny because after 5 years, I'm ready to let go of the attachment of this place.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been ready to let go of it. So I've been sorting stuff. So it's interesting because you've got stuff that you just want to throw away. You've got stuff that you want to give away. And then you've got stuff that has all this emotional attachment to it. And then there's stuff you want to store. And so it's kind of like going through that whole process is pretty emotional. But I'm getting there. And I'm going to, on Sunday week, be catching a little plane, flying to Bali. And I will be living in an apartment in a resort. But have you ever been to Bali? It's just a pretty chilled out place. It's fabulous. It's just fabulous. And I'm just going to live there and just see what happens, really. And the way I ended up living there is just bizarre. I've been calling Bali my happy place for quite a while. After my husband died, I ended up going to Bali for a retreat, a spiritual retreat. And that was on the year after, and I've been going there every year since because I just feel happier there. So it's my happy place. So I've decided to go and live in my happy place. And so, yes, I put all my stuff in storage and off I go. I'll just turn up there with my suitcase. Actually, I've got a couple of suitcases and can't get down to one suitcase. So I'll just turn up and just go with the flow and just see what happens, really.
Very adventurous. You're very adventurous indeed. And so that's kind of cool, because you're stepping out of the box, you're doing something totally different. And, and if it doesn't work out, you can come back again. You've got your things in storage. And why not? Why not?
I know. Life is just, it's amazing. And what's the worst thing that's going to happen to me? Have a lot of fun, really. I don't know.
Wow, wouldn't that be awful?
I know. And it's so cool because I'm in this apartment and in the complex, so I've got a choice of 2 swimming pools. I don't have to clean a swimming pool. And the apartment's all fully furnished. It's sort of got everything. And the way I met the guy who owns this resort is all another amazing story. All to do with following chickens down a path. And I think that's the change. I've had so much go on, like losing, Mike. I've completely changed, and my outlook on life has changed. I'm not fearful of stuff now because all bad things happening. Because to me, I've had the worst thing happen to me anyway. Nothing can be worse than what I've been through. Nothing. Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. Everything I go, oh, well. Some people say to me, gosh, Tessa, aren't you scared, nervous going and living in that place? And I go, no. It's like, no.
Well, I mean, everything's right there, so it's not like you're,
Yes.
Yeah, so everything is right there available to you. Yeah,
and
you're living in a resort.
Yes, and life is for living. Oh, my goodness, that's what I've learned. Life is for living. It's like, I used to be one of those people who lived for someday, one day I will, blah, blah, blah. And now I go, no, it's like right now. It's right now.
Yeah, it's happening. You're living in the present. Yeah.
Yes, it's like right now. I look out and I go, wow, I had coffee with some friends this morning and I sat there and I'm just thinking to myself, this is fabulous, sitting having coffee with these 2, great guys, and we're sitting having coffee and a chat, and I go, wow, this is amazing. Whereas years ago when I was in corporate land and everything, I'd be sitting with somebody having coffee, looking at my watch, going, God, I've got to rush. I've got all these things to do. How can I get away quickly?
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, my father's asked me often here, what am I going to do? And I said, well, I can, where am I going to live? What am I going to end up doing? And I said, I can live anywhere as long as there's internet,
Yes. So, Cece, come visit me in Bali.
Well, I might do that. Yeah. Is there another apartment?
Yes, he's got apartments. It's a resort. So he's got apartments, he's got villas, he's got everything.
I know. I have a group of girlfriends, and we said to ourselves, we're going to start traveling. We're going to have to start getting out there and doing some things and, living life. And that is what I think you're doing. You're saying, you know what? It's time now for me to live my life.
Yes,
and So
Yes, and
that's part of your happiness. That's wonderful.
Yes, it is, and it's living my life. But a big part of living my life is actually helping other people fast track their happiness, because I've been through it, and I've studied it, and I really want to share it. I really want to infect other people with happiness. I just really want to share it, and I'm also. That's part of my mission, is to basically teach people the skill of happiness, because it is a skill. I keep repeating that because it's so important to know you can learn it. And the other part of it is to also help fund building water wells in Africa. That's because that's going to give happiness. That's going to dramatically increase these villages, their happiness level, if they have water, because the time that they have to walk to get water, and just the whole impact on these villages of not having water was just huge. So building water wells in Africa is huge for me. And the reason it's huge is because my husband basically was in the South African Army, and for the cause, he destroyed water wells, and he felt incredibly guilty about it. So he wanted to rebuild those wells, but he had such guilt in it. It really kind of stopped him. And I only really found out about this really after he died, and I started finding papers. So I'm really passionate about, doing that as well.
That's very good. And we all need to have something to be passionate about, and I think that's a good cause. That's something good that you can definitely do. So how do we connect with you? So let's share with the audience. Now, I know you have the Facebook page, so say yes to happiness.
So yes, but the other thing is I recommend that everybody download the roadmap, because I've got a roadmap on how to be as happy as you can be, and the roadmap's got 5 steps, and I think the 5 steps are pretty brilliant. so they may seem simple, but they're profound, and you can get that roadmap if you go to sayingyestohappiness.com/roadmap. Pretty easy. So if you download that roadmap, you'll get the roadmap, and then you'll be on my list. And when I write blogs and things like that, or there's something significant to say, you'll get that. So get the roadmap. That's a good way to start getting connected. And actually join the group, because the group is fun, and you'll have fun in there, CC. You've just joined, but you'll.
Oh yeah, I definitely will. Yeah,
and the group is yestohappiness.com, because people have actually said yes to happiness.
Yeah, right on Facebook. So it's yestohappiness.com. Well, now,
sorry. The group is Yes to Happiness. Yes. The website is sayingyestohappiness.com.
Right. So Yes to Happiness on Facebook, and then sayingyestohappiness.com is your website.
Precisely.
Right? Now, let me ask you, do you have something on your website for like donations for the water wells for Africa? Do you have anything like that?
Oh, that's a great, thank you for asking that. It's great. No, what's going to happen, CC, is I am launching the Yes to Happiness gym. So actually what's going to happen in March is I'm going to do a workshop, and it will be free of charge for people on fast tracking happiness with the missing piece. And I'm going to do that workshop, and then from that workshop, if people want to go even faster, they can enroll in this gym that I'm going to be doing, the Yes to Happiness gym. And then when people are members of that gym, then a certain proportion of the funds raised will then go to basically the water wells. So people will be not only being the gym member, being part of the gym, will they be increasing their own happiness and all people around them, but they'll also be funding that as well. So that's how it's going to work. Now,
is it a gym type of working out gym?
Like a gym as in, well, it's a gym as in the sense of it's like, it is exercises, but it's more like these happiness recipes. So it's kind of like implementing these happiness recipes and doing it over time, because in a gym, like if you want to get fit, you go to a gym and you do exercises, and so it's the same sort of thing. It's like these are kind of exercises or happiness recipes for being happy in the moment, because there's all sorts of ways and things you can do to be happy in the moment. And then once you've kind of got the happy in the moment nailed, you then move to recipes which are all about being happy in yourself, which is really important. And then once you've got that kind of nailed, you can then move on to doing the next lot, which is happiness recipes, like how to be happy in relationships. So it kind of progresses. So it's sort of exercises that you do. And the thing is that, you know, like with getting fit, you can't just say, oh, I've got myself fit, tick, you know, don't have to do it anymore. And I've used the term gym because it's kind of like doing like exercises, but these recipes, right? But it's not like you can just do them and go, tick, I've done it, and don't have to do them before. It's an ongoing process. And a big part of the gym will be the community, because that's a huge part of happiness is community. It's like huge, monumental. Surround yourself with really good, supportive, uplifting people, preferably going in the same direction. So
right. I totally agree with that. That's exactly why I'm forming, you know, the Going Solo Singles Network.
Yes.
Because I think connecting singles, building a community where people understand you and can relate to how you're feeling is certainly everything. So I love what you're doing. I think it's definitely it's something that we can definitely incorporate in what we're doing here. So
Fabulous.
I do appreciate that. So certainly I'll try to be active within the Facebook group, and we'll get it going for sure. Because I think it's a wonderful you're doing.
Yeah, so everybody will get to know about the workshop. Who's in the Facebook group will get to know about when the workshop is, and people who are on my newsletter, you know, downloaded the roadmap, they'll all be notified when that workshop is on fast tracking happiness with what I call the missing piece. Because the missing piece is basically, you know, this is how to learn the skill of happiness. So with these happiness recipes, so I'm excited about it, as you can tell.
Yeah,
I'm very happy. Very happy.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, that thing is you found your passion, and I think that's most important.
Yes.
And we all have to find our passion, whatever it might be. And so
yes, and it's bizarre that I found the passion of happiness when I was so committed to being unhappy.
Well, I don't think that's happening anymore for sure. I think you're definitely going in the right direction and sharing with people every day. So that's a wonderful thing. So I appreciate that very much. So thank you very much. So let's tell everyone one more time. So if you would like to connect with Facebook, it's Yes to Happiness. That's her Facebook page, and she has a group and everything there. Her name is Tessa Stowe. That's TessaStowe. So you can connect with her also on Facebook. And then her website is sayingyestohappiness.com. And so you definitely want to go on her website. And then I think if you go is it backslash or forward slash roadmap? Then you can get the roadmap, and shoot, why not? You know, we're on this up and down roller coaster ride. Why not get the roadmap to try to figure out how to get off of it? So I think that would be a great thing to do. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for finding me too. That's great.
It's absolutely wonderful. Well, I saw what you do, and I thought, it definitely, we need that more in our lives. So I thought it was definitely great to have you on board. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, another show wrapping up, and I want to thank you guys for listening to us. I am Cece Schatz, and you are listening to Going Solo with Cece on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye for now.